Welcome back, all Lions fans, big and small. We are back for another West Side Lions podcast here. I am the host of the West Side Lions podcast here, Ben Miller. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm sorry for all the lines on my face. I am right in front of a window and I tried to block it as best as I could, but um, we are finally back. We are very excited because we have the full cast here. We've got Austin and Jake here today. I'm going to start off with the mystery man himself, Jake Krieg. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, we haven't seen you in a while. What's been going on with you?
It's like band work and just chilling.
Just chilling. Doesn't have time for us because he's just chilling.
No, I'm busy with band. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And the other man here, consistently with us, is Austin Rudlin, Mr. Consistent. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing great, Ben.
Good. So it is now Wednesday, August 31st. The 53-man roster has just been cut down. I should say the 80-man roster, 70-something man roster
80.
just got cut down to 53-man roster yesterday. So we did some predictions that we just kind of sent between ourselves on what we thought the 53-man roster would look like. And so we're going to kind of go over what the actual 53-man roster looks like. We're going to do a quick breakdown of kind of what we saw over preseason. And then that's going to kind of be it for today. I'm sure we're going to have an episode coming out maybe next week after the final episode of Hard Knocks to kind of just go over the entirety of Hard Knocks and what we've learned. But we want to make sure that everyone has been able to watch all of that. So if you haven't, go make sure you're watching that as well because it is amazing.
Very good.
Let's get into this week's episode. Like I said, we're going to start off with the 53-man roster. I'm going to pull it up here. And so I have to put a caveat on this one. As of today, this is not 100% accurate. With the starting point here, which I will say the quarterbacks, we had Jared Goff and David Blau on the 53-man roster. However, as of this morning, the Detroit Lions have waived David Blau, and they are picking up the 49ers backup quarterback. What is his name?
Nate Sudfeld.
Yes. So I wouldn't say it's a significant upgrade by all metrics. So I'm not sure if that's going to continue to work on or what, but we can talk about that in a little bit. Next, we've got our running backs. No surprise to anybody. We've got DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams as 1 and 2. Craig Reynolds then comes in as running back 3. And this one, I believe, is a surprise to most people. Jermar Jefferson comes in as running back 4. In our wide receivers, again, no surprise, DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Khalif Raymond, and then Quintez Cephas comes in as our wide receiver 5, and that is all that we had kept on our wide receiver for now on our roster. And then our tight ends, again, tight end 1, TJ Hawkinson, of course, and then Brock Wright, James Mitchell, and then Shane Zylstra. So we kept 4 tight ends there. Our offensive line, we kept our starting offensive line as Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Halapoulivaati Vaitai, Penei Sewell. And then our backups, we have Matt Nelson as our tackle, Evan Brown as our backup center, and Tommy Kramer and Logan Stenberg as backup guards as well. And Tommy Kramer can actually be kind of a reserve tackle as well if he needs to be. And also a center. So we have like a third backup center. Our interior defensive line, we have Michael Brockers, Aleem McNeil, and Levi Onwuzurike as kind of our starters. It's a little bit worth noting that Levi Onwuzurike is here on the roster to start the year. We'll kind of go over that in a minute as well, but just keep that in mind. Our backup interior defensive linemen, Isaiah Buggs and Demetrius Taylor, which I'm glad to see Demetrius Taylor make it. He was really having a great camp, so I'm happy that happened. Edge rushers, our first pick this year, Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. Then we have Charles Harris, Julian Okwara, Austin Bryant, and John Kaminsky as our backups to him. Our linebackers come in at Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez, and then our backups, Chris Board, Josh Woods. In our cornerback room, Amani Oruwariye and Jeff Okuda are our starting corners. Then we have Will Harris, Bobby Price, Mike Hughes, and then Chase Lucas is our final cornerback, who will be playing kind of the slot corner. And then at safety, we have Tracy Walker, Deshaun Elliott as our starters, Ifitu Melifonwu, and Kirby Joseph and Juju Hughes coming in as well as backups. And then, of course, our specialist, Jack Fox, pro punter here. Scott Daly is our long snapper. And then Austin Seibert did, in fact, win that kicking battle. So that is the list for the 53-man roster. So we can kind of go bit by bit here, and we can start off at the quarterbacks, and we'll kind of see, was there any surprises that either of you two had we'll just go for now with the 53-man roster that they put out here: Jared Goff, David Blau. Austin, I'll start with you. Were you at all surprised with Blau making it and Boyle getting cut?
I was not, no. Boyle was... neither one of them were very consistent in our preseason games. And even going back to last year when Boyle came in and had those few starts, he just couldn't put anything together. In this preseason, I definitely thought Blau was the better quarterback. He was a little more consistent. He did have some issues, of course, in the Falcons game. He had the fumble that kind of cost us the game on that. But in this last preseason game against the Steelers, I thought he played pretty well. He almost fumbled the ball again, but he showed composure and he was able to complete a very good pass down the field to Josh Reynolds. He had 2 scramble plays where he was able to just kind of flick the ball off and was able to make a completion. One went for 15 yards and then the other went for a touchdown. So I love that they kept David Blau, but unfortunately, as we've seen this morning, it looks like he's going to be cut and somebody else is going to get picked up. So that's the way it goes.
I think it's worth noting that by all standards, it almost looked like the coaching staff was giving Boyle all of the necessities that he needed to be the one to make the team. I think going into the final game, I think it was pretty even between Blau and Boyle. I think Blau had one good game, one bad game, and then Boyle had one good game, one bad game. So kind of going into the last one, they were kind of even. And then they were going to have Boyle start the entire third game in the first half with the first team. That's a huge, bump in being able to show what you can do. If you're repping with all the ones, you're supposed to look better than when you're repping with, people who aren't going to be making the team. So by all accounts, the road was set for him to make the team. It certainly it certainly shows something when after a couple drives, Dan Campbell says, all right, let's get David Blau out there now instead of Tim Boyle in the first half, because he just completely lost all chances of making the team from that game. And Blau didn't look tremendously better, but he did look, a little bit better, which I think was what put him on the roster originally. But like you had said, he's no longer on the team. So Jake, I'm going to bring it over to you. Are you surprised that Blau is not on the team anymore.
Honestly, I am surprised considering who we picked up instead. Because, I mean, Nate Sudfeld has not had a tremendous career as a backup, in my opinion. But
keep in mind, though, waivers hasn't happened. So it's still possible that we could be
He could
getting
come back to the practice squad or something.
Well, there's
too.
that, but we could be getting a different quarterback on waivers too. So I really hope that Nate Sudfeld is not the end all for our backup quarterback. I really hope it's not.
Hopefully we get like Kellen Mond or something. That'd be nice.
I wouldn't mind getting either of the guys from Dallas, like Cooper Rush or something like that. Like, I think that would be a better backup quarterback.
And he's from Michigan, Central Michigan.
Right. So, I hope that that's not the end all at quarterback, but that's kind of what there is now. Yeah, I'm not surprised that both of these guys are now off the roster, which on my 53-man roster that I sent to you guys, I put Jared Goff, and if you saw what I put on there, I put backup. I did not put one of those two names because I did not think one of those two guys would be making it onto the team. And sure enough, both of them ended up being out of here. We can move on now to the running backs. I think there was one big surprise here for the running backs, at least for me, was Jermar Jefferson. Over the preseason, Jermar Jefferson just did not look good. I had Jermar Jefferson probably at running back like 6. Godwin Igwebuike I had higher than him, and I definitely had Justin Jackson higher than him. I think that they did a little bit of like waiver maneuvering with cutting Justin Jackson. I think he showed that he can be a really good running back. However, with the amount of years that Justin Jackson has been in the league, he doesn't actually go through waivers. So there's no worry about getting him poached. So they could do a deal with him immediately to bring him back on the practice squad. So I think they might have been trying to do that kind of thing a little bit, but I don't know for sure until it becomes like, put out there that he's actually on. But I think that that's what's happening because I didn't see Jermar Jefferson beating them out. Jake, did you agree? Did you think Jermar was that?
I had him ranked 6 as well. I thought it was going to be Godwin who was going to make the 4th running back spot if we even had a 4th running back. I thought honestly we were going to go with a 3 running back scheme with keeping only Craig Reynolds as the 3rd.
Yeah, I think I figured they were keeping a 4th, and then that 4th one was going to be the returner. I maybe thought Justin Jackson had actually beat out Godwin Igwebuike for that returner position as well, but I was completely shocked that neither Igwebuike or Jackson was on the team, and they went with Jefferson. Austin, what did you see from his? Am I missing something from his preseason, or
I didn't see anything that told me he was going to make it. Obviously he was with us last year, so the coaches, know him pretty well. So, they had his whole last year, so they know how he is. They know what he can do. That's my only thoughts on, why he would make it over everybody else. Is just they already know what they had in him. So they didn't really need to see, a good camp or anything. I was very surprised that Justin Jackson didn't make it, and surprised in Igwebuike as well because he was going to be our kick returner. Which even Campbell came out and said that he was already set as our kick returner.
Right.
So I guess it'll be interesting to see who does that. My guess is they give the Khalif Raymond the kick return job now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. So with that, let's go into the wide receivers. I think the only thing that was surprising here was they just didn't have a 6th. I think going with 5 wide receivers set, it doesn't leave you a lot of room for injuries to happen. But again, this is just the initial 53. All of the waivers and everything are going to happen. This could look much different by the time that the season actually starts. But Was there anything else you guys thought was significantly surprising from the wide receiver group? Either one of you?
Well, if it was going to be 5 for me, I thought Khalif Raymond wouldn't make it personally. I thought,
I think with just how much like we paid him and how much
Yeah.
his contract is, I mean, you just kind of almost had to keep him. And like you said, he could do the the kick returning stuff too.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, I mean, as soon as they cut Igubike, I think that
And
that helped out Raymond in being able to get a spot.
yeah, considering the role he had in our team last year too, he was wide receiver 3 for most of the year.
Right. I
Mhm.
could see a possibly happening where when Jamal Williams comes back, I think that Jameson Williams. I think when Jameson Williams
Yeah.
comes back, I think that could possibly lead to Khalif Raymond maybe being on the out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to worry about, Quintez Cephas and his injury history as well.
It's true. He does have an injury history, but I think he has proved that he could, fit into the NFL mold of wide receiver pretty well.
Definitely. I'm not saying that he didn't deserve to make the team at all.
Mhm.
I'm saying that just with his injury history, we might have to worry about him
Right.
getting injured, and then
Mhm.
we had to have that other wide receiver as well.
Yep, I agree. All right, tight end. Anybody that's surprising here? I think it was like pretty. I mean,
I was surprised that we kept 4. I thought we were going to do 3, personally.
I think Dan Campbell came
yeah.
out. Dan Campbell came out in like one press conference and like specifically went through exactly what the plan was with tight ends, and I think he went through 4 different tight ends because they each do like different things. So I'm not super surprised by it, but I like the people that are here. Everybody. I mean, even James Mitchell, who I think is going to fight for our tight end 2 job eventually once he is getting fully healthy and gets the play time and everything. I think all these guys have been really showing out, so I'm excited for that.
It's just different from last year, considering what we were like struggling to find a solid tight end 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I think the only reason we kept 4 is because Jason Kabinda is on the PUP list.
Wait, what'd you say?
The only reason we kept 4 is because Kabinda is hurt right now.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I agree. Yep, 100%. Yep. Okay, let's move to the offensive line. Our starters, nobody's surprised about that. I think it's a little surprising that they kept Evan Brown and also 2 backup guards where Tommy Kramer and Logan Stenberg. I think I was talking to Austin about this just the other day, though. I think Logan Stenberg was the closest one to getting cut on our team. However, I mean, he made it impossible these last 2 weeks. He was just absolutely outstanding. I don't know if like just a flip, a switch flipped in his mind or something, and it just all turned down for him. He looked amazing. And he would not make it through the waivers if he was cut. So they might be trying to, play in some kind of things there. Was there any other things? I mean, offensive line was pretty much set. And we kind of figured what was going on with that. Was there any other surprises you guys had?
No.
I didn't see any, no.
Okay. Move on to the interior defensive line. This one I want to talk about. I'm excited about that. So, Michael Brockers, Lee McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike as our starters. It is a big deal that Levi Onwuzurike is on this list because they did not put him on the PUP list. Because they could have put him on the PUP list. They could have had another roster spot for somebody else to fill in. And then Levi would have had to just be out the first 4 games. So this is significant in stating that they think that he can be ready to get back out onto the field before week 4, which is good. We need that out of Levi Onwuzurike because he's been injured all preseason and everything, so we have not seen him. So I think that that's great. Isaiah Buggs back up to Aleem McNeil. He's kind of the other big nose tackle guy that we've got. And then Demetrius Taylor, like I kind of talked about a little bit, he had a great preseason, great camp. He looked really, really good. Undrafted free agent guy that a lot of people had put in for. If we would have cut him, he would not have made waivers. I'm very glad that he has made our team. I think he had just continued to show out. So I'm glad he made the team. Any other surprises coming here from either of you guys?
No, not for me.
No.
I think the one other one that I would say is Jashawn Cornell, who at the very beginning of training camp, I mean, everyone was talking about him, how he was going to maybe even be like a starting, defensive tackle for us, and then just went dead silent. Like you never hear of him ever again after that. So he did not continue to impress, and therefore he's out. So kind of a little bit surprising, but that's kind of the way of the game. All right, edge rushers. Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris is our starting edge rushers. Julian Okwara and Austin Bryant backing him up, and then John Kaminsky as reserve. Again, Julian Okwara was in the same boat that Levi Onwuzurike was. They were both injured. Wasn't sure, didn't have any timetable when they'd be back. However, he is not on the PUP list, so he is expected to be back at some point pretty soon. So that's good to see. I don't know, any other surprises here? I mean, we kind of expected this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, linebackers. Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, and Malcolm Rodriguez are going to be kind of your rotating starters. And then Chris Board and Josh Woods, backups, and also our special teams aces. I was a little surprised that Anthony Pittman didn't make it. Pittman was a guy that I think did pretty well on special teams, and I think that they liked. I was kind of surprised he didn't make it, but what do you guys think about the linebacker group?
I think it's going to improve over time. Mm-hmm. It's like definitely not a starting linebacker core like compared to other teams, I'd say, but it's definitely young enough to like improve in my especially with Malcolm Rodriguez outstanding preseason and with Derek Barnes too, who's looking like he's improving. So
yeah, I agree. Austin, do you have anything you wanted to add on linebackers? I know you're excited for the next group here.
Yeah, I mean, our linebacker room's not great, but we've got a lot of potential in it with Derek Barnes and Rodriguez. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Rodriguez out there hitting some people, which is kind of his specialty. Anzalone worries me sometimes. He's consistent, but he's not that, I don't know. He doesn't have that high
he's
peak.
Just consistent.
He's just kind of consistent right in the middle, but he's not going to give us that, I don't know, that extra a little bit. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Cornerbacks. Amani Oruwariye is our starter. He has been since the very beginning of off-season. There has been a battle for the second starting cornerback between Jeff Okudah and Will Harris. I believe Jeff Okudah, like Dan Campbell said, has outright won that big time. This past preseason game, especially, I mean, he has just been consistent. He has been great. He's been playing very well. Jeff Okudah, our other starting cornerback now. Will Harris is our backup. Bobby Price, another backup. Mike Hughes and Chase Lucas, I believe, will kind of split the either backup corner or slot corner. Chase Lucas was our late round draft pick this year, who has really shown flashes. So I'm excited about that. And then just imagine, once we get Jerry Jacobs back, and man, that's going to be a good room. Any surprises here to any of you guys?
I'm surprised AJ Parker's gone. I thought he was going to make it over Bobby Price.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that as well, but I think Chase Lucas beat him out. I mean, I think AJ Parker is basically only your slot corner.
Mhm.
And Chase Lucas just beat him out. I think just straight up beat him out for it. So, I mean, bravo to the rookie. Hope he as well. I hope AJ Parker. I mean, I don't think AJ Parker is going to make it through waivers. I'm sure somebody will pick him up because he was a decent slot corner last year, nickel corner. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think that was the big surprise that I had there as well. Safety. Any surprises here at safety? Tracy Walker, Deshaun Elliott, Fitu Melifonwu, Kirby Joseph, and then Juju Hughes. Anything surprising?
I'm shocked we kept 5, personally. I didn't think Juju Hughes would make it.
I think Juju Hughes made it specifically for his special teams ability. Dan Campbell talks about it all the time, how if it's close to another guy, it's going to come down to special teams. And Juju Hughes is a very good special teamer. So I would think that's probably what gave him the edge here. But yeah, I agree. I think that Fitu Melifonwu was still coming back from being injured as well, kind of played into that as well. I would assume that it's probably pretty easy for Juju Hughes to get taken off the roster once kind of people start coming back healthy. Any other surprises here at safety?
No.
Any other? I mean, no one's surprised about our specialists, our punter or kickers or anything.
I thought Riley Patterson would possibly win it, personally.
Did you?
I think what I saw from him better.
I was
Cyber.
rooting for him to make it over Cyber because he kicked pretty well for us last year. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think that when Dan Campbell talked about how, Cybert's the one that can kick it, he's got the bigger leg. You're kind of hoping that you can count on that guy if you're in a bad spot, like to win a game or something at the end, from a long distance. I kind of figured Cybert was going to win it, but yeah, I kind of hoped that Patterson could kind of get up there as well. I just thought it was a little bit of a climb he had to do, so I'm not superly surprised by it, but
somebody will pick him up.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right. So that's our 53-man roster.
Want to go over the injured list?
Sure, we can. Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
First off, we have Jerry Jacobs. Next, we have...
He was not happy about being put on the PUP list.
He was not. If you go in and read his Twitter feed, he was not happy about that. We have our second round pick from this year, Josh Paschal. Sports hernia or something like that.
Yep, sports hernia.
Next we have Romeo Okwara, which obviously he had the torn Achilles, and he's still recovering from that. Jason Kambinda, which we already talked about. He's got an ankle injury that's holding him out for a little bit. Jameson Williams, who's still recovering from his torn ACL, and he should be back soon. Obviously,
I'm assuming
he's going to miss the first 4 weeks, though, right?
Yep, he's going to have to miss at least the first 4 games. Like, he can't even practice or anything for the first 4 games. So once that 4 weeks is up, they can take him off the PUP. However, you still expect him to probably not play a game for at least at least 2 weeks, because he's going to have to kind of get up to speed, get up to, kind of game ready. So I think it's still going to take him a minute or two. So I wouldn't even expect to see him till like week 6. Maybe. Yeah, week 6 at the very, very minimum.
Yeah, but I have in Hard Knocks episodes, seeing him out there. He's very in with everything.
He's always
He's
around.
staying focused, always
Mhm.
watching, talking to
Yep.
coaches. I
And he-
love seeing that.
And he just posted on his Instagram a couple days ago that he's now running again. So that's
I
good.
saw that, yeah. And
Yep.
then our last person is running back Greg Bell, but he was put
Which
on
he's
injured
not
reserve,
Yeah, he's
so
gone
he
for the
can't play
year.
this year.
Correct. Yep. He's out for the full year. Which I was excited to kind of see what he could do in training camp, but Deuce Staley was really talking a lot. He was really talking that guy up. So hopefully he gets back healthy and maybe he can show us what he was going to show us this year. But okay, so that's our injury list. We kind of went over the 53-man roster. So let's just get into the reviewing the preseason games. So we've kind of talked a little bit about some of the preseason games. We've had a chance to watch these games. We've had chances to watch some of the starters on offense, defense. We've watched reserves, backups, whatever. So I'm going to throw it out to each of us here. What is one thing that you are excited about for this year for this team that you have watched so far this preseason? So I'm going to start with Jake. Go ahead, man. What's one thing that you are excited about this team after watching the preseason games?
What I'm excited to see is to see a competition every game and to see us fight for a win every game, no matter if we win or lose. I'm just excited to see this team want to win every game. Like we've seen in Hard Knocks. Having that mentality that you're going to win going into the game. If this team has this mentality, it's going to be probably one of the most, honestly, the most fun Lions season to ever watch in my lifetime. For me, I haven't grown up with much, but honestly, I'm just excited, and this is a very good team, and I'm just excited to see how we'll enter every game.
Okay, Austin, what are you excited about for this team?
I'm excited for our lines, our O-line and our D-line. That first preseason game when you had our D-line come out there and, like the first 4 plays that Hutchinson was in, and he just absolutely disrupted everything. I can't wait to see that this whole season. And then obviously our O-line. Fingers crossed they can stay healthy the whole year. Never had a snap where they were all healthy together last year. So, really hoping they can stay healthy and help our run game out.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm excited for is after watching this last preseason game, we might actually have a defense. We might actually finally have a decent defense. Like you said, I believe the line is just incredible. I think that even our backup line proved that they are pretty good, especially against the run. And then, our cornerbacks, especially once everybody gets back healthy, I think they play well. I think our linebackers don't have to do a ton, but we have some stars coming up in the making. And then it's just, our safeties have to just play average, and we have a defense. Like, just watching Aiden Hutchinson constantly on Hard Knocks and all of these pass rushes, and how he played against the Colts in the where they did the training camp together, and then how he played in the first preseason game. Like, this guy is a stud. We absolutely hit. We hit
the best player in the draft,
and we know how much of an impact having a good pass rush can have on your defense. So our defense was not good last year. I significantly think that they're going to improve. And I truly, truly believe that we are finally going to have a defense that's it's worth getting excited about. I don't know if it's going to be like a top 5, top 10, but I at least think we're in the top 15 of defenses this year. And that'll be finally something to see. And I'm excited to watch Jared Goff. I think he has had a great training camp. All the coaches talked about how great he has been. with these weapons, I truly think that Jared Goff in this offense is going to kind of be rolling a little bit too. So I'm excited. I think the team is really taking a positive spin here. Now, to be the wet blanket of it all, let's go through and say one thing that we are all worried for. So, Jake, I'm going to bring it back to you. What is one thing that you are worried about for this team this year?
Oh, well, it's obviously going to be the injuries. I mean, last year we were just absolutely plagued with injuries. And what I'm worried is now that this team is, wanting to compete somewhat, that the injuries might, hold us back from that if we do have any.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Austin, what about you?
I'm thinking, I think our linebacker group is what I'm worried about the most. I think we're going to be good at being able to rush the passer, and stopping the run, but I'm worried about them dropping back in coverage.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm worried most about, and I really hope this doesn't come to fruition, because if it does, it's going to be really bad for our team. At the last year, we were like 1-11, and spirits were low, but we were able to keep it because it was a new team, everyone was good, and then we could start building at the end of the year. We started getting a couple wins there. I'm worried about the fans if we don't start getting some wins and the team buy-in. I really hope that people will still be able to hang in there. It's still not we're still not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people have gotten, especially after Hard Knocks and everything, people have gotten their expectations to the roof now. And I think if they're not going to hit that, I really hope, and I'm worried that people are going to kind of start throwing in the towel on the building of this team. Yeah. And Campbell. And that I think could be super dangerous to this team. We have good, we have a good culture going right now, but I think it could be really easy for that to flip if we're not getting some wins. So that's what I'm worried about.
You look at some very great coaches too, and even if they have a very successful time with their team, one bad season could absolutely
just look at the Seahawks. That.
Yeah,
look at the Seahawks. Everyone's talking about whether or not. Yeah, look at whether or not Pete Carroll is the guy anymore, and he's
Look at the Eagles. Doug Peterson won. It wasn't just it was one play that specifically got him fired. Too. That it's just mind blowing. He had only two losing seasons in his tenure with the Eagles, but got fired. So.
Yep, that's the thing I'm worried most about, is that people get impatient and are trying to get too far before we're ready to get there. So that's what I'm worried about, because I think that's going to be detrimental to this team if people start doing that, especially if if the players stop losing the faith.
Well, you look at the Browns too. They kept Hugh Jackson after going 1-31. So
Browns are an absolute joke, and I could go on with that for hours and hours, but we're not a Browns podcast, so thank the Lord of that.
God, yeah.
All right. Anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here today. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you go and follow us on all of our pages if you've not done so. If you don't know where it's at, I don't believe you, because if you're listening to this episode, you've listened to them before, and I say it every time. So go and check us out there. We're also on YouTube as well. Come see our pretty faces. Otherwise, from all of us here at the Westside Lions podcast, go Lions.